Hi, I'm Cal. I'm part of the JROTC Out of TPS Coalition. We're a group of different grassroots organizations and unions coming together to oppose the proposed TPS's proposed introduction, that's a tongue twister, of the Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, or JROTC program, into Portland high schools. This is because they are moving forward in this plan because as we the people have become more and more aware of the oppressive and devastating consequences of the U.S. military and its huge effects on the people that it enlists and the people that those people kill, we have taken a stand against recruitment and have stopped enlisting. This has made the U.S. Army and U.S. military squeam under our fingers, and they are pulling out all the stops to get more people to enlist. They need more young people for their meat grinder, and they will stop at nothing to get us. Because of this, they are putting on air shows, water shows, and school enlistment to get all manner of people to throw aside their reason and their cognitive thinking and to look at the flashing lights and big explosions and think that they could gain something from this deadly, deadly machine. But we, as the people, have a voice, and we will make that voice heard in opposing all of these attempts to indoctrinate our youth and force them into this compulsory and deadly program. This means opposing military induction as the first place it will arise for most students, that is in the schools. This means that we must take a strong and principled stance against the Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, as it is an aspect of the U.S. military imperial complex. This means we must stand in solidarity of all the people in oppressed nations, from Palestine to the Philippines, and we must take a stance against U.S. military recruiting, especially in our schools. Thank you.
Yay!
As we know from Veterans for Peace, from their experiences and what we see from the independent people's movements around the world, we see the U.S. military as the #1 threat to people's peace, to people's democracy, to people's freedom, to people's ability to live their life the way that they want to. And so we see the U.S. military as the #1 terrorist in the world. So join me in the chant, U.S. imperialist, #1 terrorist. U.S. imperialist, #1 terrorist. U.S. imperialist, #1 terrorist. And so that terrorism from the U.S. military is being felt particularly concentrated in the Philippines right now, where the government is under neo-colonial rule from the United States government. And to talk about why we need to be, as part of the anti-war movement in the U.S., united with the Filipino people's struggle, we have Adriana, who's going to talk about that struggle from the perspective of COPS, people organizing for Philippine solidarity. Give it up for Adriana.
Cars can hear you.
Okay, thanks Miles for that introduction. Yeah, so People Organizing for Philippine Solidarity is an organization that really believes that the Filipino people have a right to struggle for national and social liberation by any means necessary. And so why do we care about the air show that's happening today, right? Why are we in McMinnville? What's the connection from the Philippines to McMinnville? And it's really because the U.S. is conducting the largest military buildup in the Asia Pacific, in the Philippines, in decades. And this is part of a strategy that the U.S. has in the Asia Pacific. In July, the U.S. gave the Philippines $500 million in military aid, and they're planning to try to give another $2.5 billion over the next 5 years. This is more than the U.S. has given to the Philippines in the past 10 years combined. So why is the U.S. pouring so much money into the Philippines? Similarly, pouring so much money into Israel, the Zionist state, to continue a genocide. The U.S. very clearly is building up to war with China and all over the world with any threats to its imperialism. The U.S. sees China as an economic rival that has to be dealt with. And we know that this is true because they even put long-range missiles in the Philippines in April that are, the length of them is the distance to the middle of China. Like, why else would you put missiles in the Philippines?
Right. Yep.
The U.S. is also conducting military exercises every month in the Philippines, non-stop. And these are the largest military exercises in decades in the Philippines. It's a clear escalation, and the Filipino people are raising alarm bells and asking for our support and solidarity. Why is the U.S. doing this while here in Oregon, working class people can't afford rent, housing, school, healthcare, and our electric bills keep going up? Are our wages going up by 10% per year?
No.
That's right. Meanwhile, in the Philippines, organizers are working to change the system that keeps so many people in poverty, and the U.S. is killing these activists. Let's stand with the Filipino people and people all over the world fighting U.S. imperialism. That's why we say fight U.S. military intervention. Dismantle U.S. military bases in the Philippines and all over the world. U.S. out of the Philippines.
U.S. out of the Philippines.
U.S. out of the Philippines.
U.S. out of everywhere.
Woo! All right, thank you, Adriana, for pops. Yep. All right. So this might be a chant some of you had heard, but this is a kind of new one. It was developed for the Cancel Ring Tag campaign.